Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Xah Talk Show. Today is July 13th, 2019, 9 o'clock p.m. California time. And we're gonna talk about some random topics, some, stuff from my blogs. So let's start up a browser. So let us, random topics. So let's see. It's a bit hot. Okay, let me close the door. My eye. I have a little bit cross eye, and it's getting bad lately. You see, yeah, you can see my cross eye because when I use my different eyes to look at the camera, you'll see it. So, sometimes I see double vision. So that is why I'm covering one of my eyes. That's toilet paper. You tear one piece off, you fold it like this, you fold it like that, you got a square. This is mathematics, geometry. Then you put it there. So it functions as a patch. So how are you guys doing? So comment in here, just type something. I welcome it. And I got this. Now if you are young, you may be familiar with this. This is, a friend gave it to me. This is actually THC, and it turns out I don't like it. Okay, THC is the active ingredient of marijuana, THC, and it is legal in California, where I live. So so this is tetrahydrocannabinol. Some chemistry. Actually, I don't know chemistry. It's very interesting. I don't know much. I don't know any chemistry at all. But when I was younger, you are interested in math, chemistry. What? Where does that came from? What? Go back. I must clicked somewhere. Anyway, so chemistry. When you are younger, you study math, physics, chemistry. Those are so-called hard sciences. Those are the fundamentals of sciences. And as a nerd, typically you are also interested in engineering topics like mechanical engineering or whatever engineering, but or electrical engineering and so on. I'm not much, I'm also interested in them, but not as much. I'm more interested in sciences. And among sciences, math, physics, chemistry, they are all interesting, but I'm into math. Mostly I'm into math. But, as a nerd, you also are interested in the others, physics or chemistry. But for me, it turns out, I just never uh, had, never got the time. I never actually learned much about physics or chemistry. But now, since 10 years ago, I started to have interest in biology, biological system, biology in general. Because biology, I don't have that interest when I was younger, but biology is quite interesting. Molecules, the DNA computing, the DNA itself. Uh, It's very interesting, and it's a very active area, and all the drugs. So I was talking about this thing. So, by the way, today's topic is gonna be random. I'm going through some of the interesting things on my website, and I'll talk about them. Keyboards, something about keyboards, something about programming, something about web dev. Okay. Uh, uh, so yeah, I was talking about this. So this is THC. This is the active ingredient of cannabis. Marijuana, and it's not for me really. I don't. When you do this, what you get is like you become stupid. That's what it is. You become stupid and silly. All you get, you just can smile. Just smile all the time. Soothe it. Okay. So it turns out it's not for me, this thing. And on the other hand, cigarette is and coffee, they are stimulants. You don't get stupid with cigarette. Maybe long term, but not the short term. With cigarette, you actually become somewhat active. And coffee, I'm drinking coffee all the time. The kind of the energy drink. But these a lot of people like these grass, marijuana. That's not for me. You just get stupid and like smiling all the time. And when that happens, actually, that's that's happening. That's fucking happening. Good morning, Cat 44. Where are you from? What are you up to? I don't know you before. I think you've been on my show once before. Good morning, Mooch Dedan. Okay, so many of you, I forgot where you came from. So say you where you came from. Like what country or. So anyway, so this you just get stupid, and also drinking, beer. A lot of guys, nerds, they like beer all the time. Like, guys is like, oh, beer, but beer is not for me neither. Alcohol, like, yeah, so I don't like alcohol in general. I don't drink, much, like a few times a year. And what happens with this and alcohol is that you just get stupid. You just it dull your senses. And for me, I live in a crisis mod almost all my life. Like, like in countries you have maritime law, something like that. Maritime, like meaning that your country is in a critical, wartime condition, something like emergency condition. So you are staying alert at all times. Your country, so you have like law, maritime law. Let's look it up. How is it called? Maritime, something like that. Or maybe it's not called that. Let's see. Admiralty law. No, maritime law. Okay. Uh, oh, okay. So that is that Admiralty law. I haven't heard of that term before. Let's see. Dashboard. I'm alive. Good morning, guys. So type your comments, opinions. Okay. This is today's topic is random. So Admiralty law. Admiralty law or maritime law is a body of law that governs natural issues and private maritime disputes. Okay, that's not the word I was looking for. What is the word when a country is in a like in an emergency situation? There's a special law, like near wartime. So Cat 44 is from Australia. Pot, yeah, pot. Okay, pot is not legal here. Oh, in OZ, but have used it for 30 years in place of antidepressants. Okay, yeah. So this, yeah. So it soothes your mind. It actually, it does relax you. and and it's also it functions as a painkiller as well. I wonder I should get stoned during the show. Doing just for the fun of it. So vote, like type yes or no. Should I? If I get stoned, then I cannot talk about programming and stuff. Well, I can still, because uh, y- your ability to program and think deeply will be affected, of course. But, however, as a talk show or talking about programming, I think that that doesn't matter. I mean, I can still do. It might be interesting, but yeah, it do your senses. Uh, but it's relaxing. Okay, 10 minutes. So tetra tetrahydrocannabinol, tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay. So what is a law? What is a law, like some kind of emergency law when a country is in near war? Uh, um, I don't remember, but okay. So urgency law or something. No. Then there's also another term where at night, like around 10 o'clock, everyone, by law, you have by a special temporary law, you have to stay at home after 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, something like that. What was that called? I can't remember terms. I don't know if I'm getting too old or if I'm. But it's not because of these, though. I don't think so. So it's my camera. So Adam, so talk, guys, talk. So anyway, so I was talking about that law. Forget about that then. Okay, so let's go to the okay, keyboard. Let's go to the keyboard department. There's something new, interesting about keyboard. Okay. There is this keyboard teletype. This is a keyboard history. Teletype 5620. Okay, also known as blit. Now this is a very famous, popular terminal. It's actually created by Rob Pike. Rob Pike is a Unix guy, Unix philosophy, Plan 9, Go language. He's a talker. He likes martial law. Martial law, yes, exactly, martial law. So, in some countries, sometimes you have martial law. It's a special law, kind of emergency, where whole country is in alert. Now, that's law for the country, but sometimes a person, I don't know if you have a term for that. For a person, you sometimes in a alerted crisis kind of living style. I remember I read an article like 10 or 20 years ago. They say that Japanese people often live, in that kind of style. I don't remember. This is 20 years ago. I think I read that. But anyway, so for me, my life, it's almost my entire life are living in that condition. Like in a crisis, Marshall, it's like in a crisis, super alert situation. Like I cannot, so this is about me. I cannot relax and enjoy. Like there's no no pleasure or entertainment for me in general. Like like you are in a state where you must get ready to run or survive hunger or whatever. That is my kind of my lifestyle all these years due to anyway. Let's get back to the martial law. By the way, martial law, Taiwan is in martial law for the past like 40 or 50 years. Since Taiwan is the a party, a nationalist party, who escaped from China because they lost the civil war. The Taiwanese government, the KMT party, they take Americans' money because for yeah, yeah, they lost the civil war. They lost to the communists, so they escaped to Taiwan, and they did bad things to people already living in Taiwan. But anyway, the Taiwan government, KMT, so Taiwan was actually in martial law for the past 40 or 50 years. I think they lifted off 10 or 20 years ago. I don't remember. Yeah, but anyway, martial law. So anyway, teletype. This is keyboard history. By the way, I recently updated my my blog about, well, that's another thing. Let me talk about that later. But look at this one. This one, teletype 5022 blit computer, invented by Rob Pike. And this is the first computer, one of the first, not first, the first computer to feature the GUI window, Windows system. Windows system is interesting because before the Windows system, what you have is a situation like this. You have a monitor and you have one terminal, and that is it. On the whole screen, you just see this terminal. One terminal. So they invented the Windows system. Now with the Windows system, meaning that as we know, like a screen have several you can have several windows, each one can be a terminal or whatever, an app. So this is one of the first. This is in 1984. It's not the first, it's one of the first. And also it comes with a mouse, you see. Very interesting, this this big huge mouse. So and there's a video you can watch. You go to the website and you can watch the video. Let's it's not showing in Firefox because this video format is let's see the file. Let's see. So this video format is in MKV. So that's not supported in Firefox. Stupid Firefox. So teletype 56. So yeah, so I was talking about, there's a video you can actually. It's nice. It's good to watch because they. Computers could be used by just one person running one program. To overcome this inefficiency, some two-terminal connection, all on one small type glue to see who's using the. Debug was a clumsy tool because it involved. So it's interesting to watch this video. This is one of the first terminal, the window, GUI Windows, but it's not the first. Remember, now this is 1982. Now by 1982, let's go back to history. There's also a list machine system. Let's have a look at list machine. Let me show you. Symbolics. Okay, let's click on Space Cadet. Space Cadet keyboard, one of the most dramatic keyboard. There it is. You see Space Cadet. Now you see this list machine, the first non-compromised list machine. That's marketing talk from their brochure. Lambda, the Lambda machine Inc. LMI Inc. So you see that there is a menu, there's a graphics, and by the way, this screen is vector graphics. They have a vector screen, and this is this is about 1979. You see, so it's few years before that Rob Pike Unix thing. At least come first. Okay, so that's about that list machine. Let me talk about the other things interesting about keyboards. So check it out. You just go to my website, Xali keyboard, xali.info keyboard. You can check it out. And let's go back to blog. There is several things interesting. Okay, this is a new keyboard I discovered. Do it yourself keyboard. Someone made it. It's total of 60 keys, 30 keys on each hand. It looks fine. And not bad. I think it's pretty good. If you are into do it yourself, keyboard, you can, soldier, buy the parts, buy the keycaps, buy the case, buy the PCB, the circuit board, buy the chips, and assemble it yourself. But actually, I don't know. There's a website for this keyboard. Uh, it's actually on Reddit. Oh, but I forgot. Oh, here, build spec. So it's on GitHub. You can go to his website. And by the way, so they have this default layout. You see this layout? You see, now look at the arrow keys. Here, 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 here. That's NJKL. So they are following the Vim editor, the VI editor style uh, arrow key arrangement, which is no good. It's inefficient. I did a video on this topic a month ago. You can go to my YouTube and you can find it. Anyway, I have a application here. Let me show you. So go back to where do we go? Go back. Let's go to the homebrew. Okay, this do-it-yourself keyboard section. All these are do-it-yourself. Recently, I updated this page so they are more organized. You see, the first section is all ball surface. They have concave surface keyboards. All these are do-it-yourself. You can build it if you like it. Then you have orthodox variations. In the beginning, we have orthodox. Then there are people created variations. Some of these you can buy off the bat, like Ergodox. There are companies. I think there are two companies that sells it. One is Ergodox Infinity, and the other one is anyway. You can find it. Ergodox Easy. Oh yeah, Ergodox Easy is the more popular, I think. So there's Ergodox and variations. Let me show you where. Okay, so Ergodox, Diverge, Redux, Ergo Dash, Iris, Fortitude. Okay, and let me mention another thing. Many of these, in the past 3 years, many of these keyboard they don't have many keys. Comments, okay, guys, comment. Keep your comment coming. So many of the modern, in the past 4 or 5 years, all these new do-it-yourself keyboard people created, they don't have many keys, like 60 keys. Ergodox is only like 80 keys. Let's click it. Let's have a look. So Ergodox 76 keys. That's not too many. Okay, on a typical full-sized keyboard, you have 105 keys. If we look at the PC keyboard, like a typical keyboard like that, you have 105, something like 105 keys. So, and for the short, for the compact keyboard, you have like, for example, Happy Hacking, one of the most famous among nerds, among hackers. This is one of the worst keyboard. It has how many keys? Let's see. Oh, I don't have a key count here. Let's see. Count. Total. I didn't say how many keys total, but anyway, let's look at Vortex, a similar one. 61 keys. You see, They only have 61 keys. That's no good. So all these, that's not enough. Okay. So, but what you do is that when you have, if you actually want like some of these do it yourself, what is this? Shoes for women. Oh my God. Shoes, feet. uh, so you have, many of these only have 60 keys. Ergodox has 76. Uh, and so when that happens, if you like one of these, you can get them. But I know, before, let me tell you my thought about this. Okay, before when I look at these one of these, for example, let's say this one, Redux, it's only 70 keys. That's not enough. You see, it's missing the function keys. Or the function, you don't have function keys. So if you want to press the function keys, you have to hold down one of these buttons. So that means you can no longer, have a single key press macro. For example, if you want to switch to browser, like you can just hit with one finger, like switch to browser, switch to terminal, switch to desktop. That's so convenient. But now with these, stupid people with this one is actually okay, 70 keys. Now some of them, these do it yourself, these people, they created, they don't have, let me show you example. uh, they get extreme. For example, look at this one, orthodox. It looks pretty. It looks, but it only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it only has 3 rows. So the total number of keys is only 46. 23 on each hand. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times 3 is 18. 18. You see, 18 times plus 5 is 26. 26 on each hand. Total 46. That's no good. So before, when I see a keyboard like that, you don't have many keys, immediately that's a major problem. And also this Atrius, very popular. This is one of the, it's only got 42 keys. I can imagine some people like them, a lot of people. I think, to me, it's like idiots. I don't know what they are thinking. This keyboard like this will get you a repetitive strain injury right away. It's like, when people who love this keyboard, you can tell right away they don't type much. It's like they only type 10 minutes a day, really. I can tell you for sure, because if you use this keyboard and you type, you know this keyboard does not even have number row. You see, it doesn't have number row. So if you need to type numbers or any symbols, you have to press, one of the modifiers. So it's extremely painful, especially if you need to type, math, or I mean even for programming, math or Japanese or German or Russian. You cannot. This keyboard is like out of the question. There's no way. But even if you limit to typing only English, it's no good, because every time you type a number, you have to press hold down a modifier, and holding down a modifier is one of the primary attribution, a primary cause for RSI. Okay, so people liking this, to me, is just idiotic. This one is actually, like Phil Hackelberg. He's a great hacker. He's a big Clojure hacker, and also Emacs Lisp hacker. He's an expert in both of these languages, and he's also very much into Lua, the language Lua, and very capable programmer. And he invented this Atrius keyboard. That's the thing. To me, many of these programmers' opinions I just don't agree. But look at this keyboard he created. To me, this keyboard is one of the most idiotic keyboard. First of all, 42 keys. This keyboard is the is the stairway to repetitive to the doctor's office, repetitive strain injury. But a lot of these hackers types, they seems to like this keyboard because you see this often, like on Twitter or on Reddit, keyboard uh, forums. And so I think you think about why do people like this idiotic keyboard? You think about why. One thing I can tell is that these people, they don't type much, okay? Because each person is very different. Whatever, wherever you live, your environment, your lifestyle. Maybe you are a programmer. Maybe you are from a rural place, or whatever. Even for programmers, the environment lifestyle is differs very much, especially when you are outside of USA. Okay, so each person, you don't see other people, how many other people type, like you have no idea. Anyway, I look at this, and the people who love this keyboard, I can like I can kind of tell most of them, they do not type they do not type much, like 5 minutes a day, if they 10 minutes a day. If they type the whole day's typing continuously, it's just going to be like 5 minutes, a day. And so the thing to take away here, I talked about in details elsewhere in the article, is that the keyboard choices, the key arrangement, the style, which one is good, which one is better. It really depends a lot on the person, like how much you type. That's two most important thing that governs what kind of keyboard is good for what kind of people. Is one, how much you actually type. There are several different categories. For example, there are at the most extreme, you are a data entry clerk, meaning that your job is enter data, just typing continuously, typing for hours a day. Or from these days, this job, data entry clerk, is not almost gone. It's as a profession. But I was a data entry clerk back in 1992 for a year or two. Part, secretary and data entry. So I do, so I listen to people, salespeople, they come to me, they want to write a letter to a client, to a customer. So they just come to me and they start to read the talk, and I type, That's back in 1992. So that's data entry clerk. They type the most, they type the most. Then similar is writers or novelists. If you are a novelist or writers, or sometimes even gamers in a role-playing game. Some role-playing games is like you have to type the environment, your mood, all the time. So if you play that kind of role-playing games a few hours a day, that's very intensive typing. So that's part of Second Life. Second Life, the virtual world. Um, if you do Second Life, but anyway, so you have data entry clerk, you have writers, novelists, or bloggers, or writers, like you write documentations at all times. That's your job. Then you have maybe programmers. Okay, programmers don't really type. Then you have let's say mom and pop. Your mom or dad, or suppose they are old. They sometimes they type. They type on keyboard. Writing one letter a day. So that's it. And most of the days they don't even use a computer. So all these different uh, um, quantity, how heavy a person types, that matters significantly. This matters significantly. If you are the data entry clerk or writers, this, of course, this keyboard is not for you. This keyboard is maybe for programmers and lower. Okay, for you don't touch type. that much. Okay, so first thing is that there are different amount of typing a person might need to do every day. So that is one of the most important thing that governs which keyboard is better for you. The other thing is whether you touch type. I talked about this before. Touch type is a kind of stigma. It's a sensitive topic. For example, if you don't touch type, you don't want to say it. You don't broadcast it because people think, oh, you don't touch type. But anyway, but it is a fact that whether you touch type or you don't touch type. I mean, if you don't touch type, that's fine because if you are a programmer, it's not really necessary to learn touch type, okay? But it's really good. uh, but if you don't want to take the time to touch type to learn it, and you don't really type that much, that's fine. But the thing is, remember, if you don't learn it, if you don't touch type, you will not become a writer. You're less likely. But if you know touch type, there's a much higher chance that you might become, a professional writer. You might start to be interested in typing a lot your thoughts, writing a book, whatever. So so that's the thing. Anyway, whether you touch type, that's one of the important criteria on judging which keyboard is a good keyboard, which keyboard is not for you. Like there are so many varieties of especially ergonomic ones. And first of all, whether you should have a ergonomic keyboard, like these are all split ergonomic, and then you have these PC keyboard, which just like flat one piece. So like I said before, whether you touch type, that's very critical. If you do not touch type, then these keyboards are good for you, because those ergonomic ones, they actually just slow down. They don't do anything for you, because if you don't touch type, these flat, you can, like, flat keyboard will work fine. So let's see. So comments, okay, guys, comment. So anyway, let's go back to. I think I talked too much about keyboard. So let's get back to. Hey, good morning, Gabriel. Hi, how are you doing today? I'm doing good. What's up? So we have. So we talked about this history of this keyboard teletype, blit, and you have this Dark Knight keyboard. You know, so yeah, so I'm going the Dark Knight only has 60 keys. So I was saying before, when I saw this keyboard, everything, suppose I saw. Let's go to Homebrew. I need to rename that. Originally it's named DIY, do it yourself. Then last week I changed this category to Homebrew, because I thought homebrew is more intuitive. Like if you tell someone DIY, they have no idea what that is. A lot of people won't know. Uh, Especially if English is not their first language, Chinese, Russian, they wouldn't know what do it, DIY means. So I changed the name to homebrew. Homebrew is more intuitive. We're talking about linguistic aspects. This interests me. So if you say homebrew, even though people may not know what it means, but you can think of, home brew. Home, it's something made from home. But brew is more difficult word. Brew means beer, usually brew beer. So anyway, I thought homebrew is more intuitive. I think that's actually I think it's better if I name it DIY instead. Is that right? Do you guys agree? Type it, okay? So so if you look at this, this DIY keyboard. So I was mentioning you have both surfaced ones, you have orthodox variations, then you have two square slabs. Now these two square slabs, they are interesting because they are the most simple design. They are just two, rectangular grids. Uh, the most simple design. Then you have other kind of more fancy designs. Then all these above are split two pieces, so that you can tilt the middle, like that. But then some of them are one piece. For example, here these are all flat one piece. Um, then you have some non-ergonomic ones. Among them, the most idiotic is plank, associated with hack. What they like, I find the worst. For example, among this page, you can see plank is one of them. Like fairly popular among do-it-yourself. Like a lot of people like plank. One of the most idiotic. Okay, and Atrius is also one of the most kind of idiotic keyboard. And exactly this, and these are liked, kind of loved by hackers, because you see them on Reddit, often, and also including the happy hacking keyboard. On the other hand, those that are truly great design, for example, I would consider, anyway. That's another topic. So anyway, you have all these. You have these two square slabs keyboard. Okay, so as I mentioned before, one of the problem with many of them is that they only have 60 keys, like too few. So before, when I saw, for example, I saw this one. I think it's suppose, I think it's great design. I really love it. But then, oh my God, it's only 60 keys. That's not enough. So my rating of this keyboard went down. Is it because I cannot use it? Because you don't have function keys. Every time you need to press function keys, you need to press a modifier. That's no good. That throws away a lot of the advantage. So anyway, so before I have this problem, when I see a keyboard I really like, but it turns out it doesn't have many keys. So that is a problem. But now I have a new thought that solved this problem. That is, you just buy a keypad, programmable keypad. Like if you get one of those 60 keys keyboard, then just buy one of these keypad. So you consider the whole thing, with a programmable keypad and your ergonomic, 60 keys keyboard. Consider all of them together as like one package. That way it's really excellent, because now you have like you really basically you have three components. You have like three components, and this is actually the best combination. It's really the best combination, because on one hand your keyboard is very small and portable, because only 60 keys. Almost all these are kind of okay. So it's very small and portable. And also these do-it-yourself keyboards, they are highly programmable. You can program all sort of macros into the keys. But problem, not many keys, only 60 keys, and all your function keys are gone. Okay, solution, get one of the programmable keyboards, programmable keypads. So now you have full set of keys, and they are removable, and they are all tiny. They are, like, think of them as like components. So that's what I do. So I think that's it about keyboard. Scene 2. I've been reading some articles about the Xah writing style. Thank you. So yeah, I have the article about Xah writing style. Let me show you. That's on my English writing blog. Like, related to it, that blog is related to literature, writing, poetry, linguistics, and stuff. and grammar related stuff and writing style. So that website is wordy English, but so let's just search for Xah writing style. So I'm kind of into these kind of things. Xin Tu, Xin Tu. Are you from China or are you from Taiwan? So I wrote this article, this essay, the writing style of Xah Li. It's kind of like it's kind of like a rant. You can okay. Let's do a poetry reading session. My writing is razor blades in heartburns to grammarians, choking dagger to mouthing moralists, logic bomb to e-reflecting morons, eye opener or epical theorists, eye opener to epical theorists, immaculate calculus to logicians, euphoric oxygen to English masters, orgasmic honey to poetic chicks. That is to say, when I wanna be, on the right occasion too. Okay, so Shintu, you are from USA. Okay, great. What state? So anyway, so I wrote this, the writing style of Xah Li, which kind of document about many various issues about writing. For example, there are a lot of books on writing style guide, like these I call them guild, like Chicago writing style manual or whatever, AP Press writing style, New York Times writing style guide. They have these style guides you can actually buy from Amazon. Let me show you some of them. I don't know if you guys still know them. Oh, California, great. So because today's generation, the millennial generation, they they are different. They may not know. But anyway, writing style. Writing style guide. Are kind of very popular among uh, among journalists or whatever. So, for example, this you have this strong and white elements of style. One of the most idiotic book. Okay, this book is kind of like a urban myth. I read this book like twice, I think, back in 1993 or so. And back then I was, so much, uh, into it. I not like today. But then eventually, as you get older, you learn a lot more things. You find lots of them are just, crap. So anyway, this is one of the most famous book. By the way, also another thing about these books is that you see this book is actually pretty old. Like you can look at Wikipedia. There's a Wikipedia on this book article on this book. It's this book must be like 50 years old or 60 or even older. You see, the author, the William Strunk and E.B. White, they are dead long ago. But there's one thing about books, like publishing, it's a business. Too old. You don't write like that because if you write like that today, people will immediately it'll stand out. It'll be not appropriate, often not appropriate. But anyway, the thing about books and publishing is because you see, books are about knowledge, right? So, but publishing, there's a twist to it. You see, once the author died, but they still, the publisher or whoever owns the content still wants to make money because it's making money. So they want to keep publishing it. So they try to edit it. Maybe they rewrite parts. They hire someone, to rewrite parts. But they keep the name. William Strunk, and the E.B. White. They keep the name and title. Why? Because the author name and title, they are like a brand, like Coca-Cola or Apple, Microsoft. They are like brand. They are like a brand name burned into people's brain. So when you hear, oh, William Strike, strong and white, the element of style, people recognize, so they keep the name, but the author died long ago. It's strong white element of style. Let's look it up. Uh, so let me get some drink, energy drink with pineapple juice. Yeah, the element of style, Wikipedia. So Shintu, were you American born Chinese, or you grew up in USA? Like how old you came here? Because American born Chinese are usually very different from people who did Chinese people who did not grow come here young. It's almost entirely different. The thinking, the culture is just different. Moved here at an early age. Okay, at what age? That's the critical question. You are basically American. Your thinking, your behavior, your reaction, your even your facial emotions, like the way you talk. It's like American. Like if you go back to okay, 4 or 5. You go to China and you probably don't. Do you speak Chinese? Maybe you do, but you probably don't read Chinese, right? Like if you visit China, you go to Taiwan or China, people immediately they are like far away. They all know you are not Chinese. I mean, just by looking at the way you talk, and they all know right away. Anyway, that's just interesting thing. That's what culture is. See, culture is not really. It's not real. It's not your skin color, or it's not technically not even your DNA has nothing to do with it mostly. Culture is like your environment, the thinking, the people, the history. Like in America, you have American culture, which is typically, let's say some of the primary elements American culture is American history, black people, the free immaculation of slaves, the independence, celebrate American culture, American flags, flag bikinis. That's also, American culture. Disney, Coca-Cola, all these things, and white people and the social justice scan. The social justice kind, they like to talk about multicultural. But their multicultural is basically 100% white American aggressive culture, plus little weird hat of Chinese, Chinese eye, plus Chinese eyes, or 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 the black skin, or the women, they have to, like, they talk about that all day, like Middle East, it's like colorful. It's basically pure white American culture plus colorful hats and colorful dress. That's what their so-called multicultural is about. Because if you really think about culture, for example, one of the thing in American culture, uh, one of the thing about American culture is democracy. As if you are American, you know that we want, democracy is a big topic. Freedom, privacy, those are all big topic, and free speech. And so democracy. That's you have to remember democracy, the concept of democracy, or at least the way we know it, we American know it. Okay, the concept of democracy, that's very new. No more than, let's say 200 years. Okay, that's a new concept in the history of humanity. But most Americans don't know that. Your concept. You don't know. So you have democracy. But it's a new concept, but all the other countries, some of them also, you know are thriving or in harmony or in peaceful and very good society, they don't have democracy. But the people, their governor, what their leader, they may have a good time, or everyone is happy, everyone is fair, but they don't have democracy. So democracy does not, it's not like, oh, if you don't have democracy, you must be evil, or you must be suffering, or you must, that's not the case. You look at history, you look at all the countries, regions, throughout the times, there are many periods, some countries, they are not democracy. What the fuck is democracy? They are not in democracy, but the country thrived. They everyone, the rulers are good people. The people are happy. They are, they are like that. So anyway, back to democracy. That's American, very American concept, and I would say it's pretty new. I mean, the basis of the concept is probably very old. Like traces back to Greek or something. I don't know, but anyway. So democracy is one of the pillar. One of the fundamental concept in American culture. Now, if you wanted to talk about multicultural, other cultures, democracy is not, typically it's not one of them. For example, you look at the whole Middle East, and what democracy? That's you American. That's not their concept. You look at Africa, the history of Africa. Africa happens to be the origin of human animals. Actually, if you study anthropology, you can read Wikipedia, which is what I did. You study, actually, we all, according by theory at least, so far as we know, all human animals originally came from Africa. So anyway, you look at Africa countries' histories. Do they democracy? No, no. And so the social justice people, they want to talk about multicultural, respect, or we want different elements of all cultures. Yeah, but do they allow culture, the concept where no democracy exists? No. So basically, they are multicultural from this social justice scan. Okay, they are just pure white. The multicultural is as I mentioned before, the whole postmodernism, the whole things that the social justice scan are concerned about. They are a methodology to win at any cost. They are not about morality, about ethics. They are just the art of war. It's a philosophy about getting your enemy by all means. That's what they do. So the multiculturalism, multiculturalism. That's one of the concept out of this philosophy. What they do is that they anyway. That's about that. About the concept. So CMDR says, Elton says, the concept of democracy is thousands of years old, but I agree the way we practice it is new. Okay, yeah, I can accept that. I think that's what I'm thinking. That's yeah. So anyway, so let's go back to the. Oh yeah, we were talking about strong and white. So how did I digress to? Oh yeah, I was talking about Shinto's. Where are you from? Anyway, so I was talking about strong and right, and yeah. So let's look at the element of styles. It's so the author, you see, so this is published in 1920s. When I was reading this, when I was young in the 1920, 1992, in college, I was in community college. I don't have a degree or anything. So I went to so I was I'm very studious person. I'm a nerd. Okay, I read all day. So So I was so eager, and also back then I was learning English. So I was eager to read this because this is supposed to be, I can, from what you hear, this is like, oh, this is the book to get, the element of style, William Strong Jr. and E.B. White, it's a classic, so so I went and I read it twice. And I bought into it. When you are younger, you don't know. You just you know um, but the truth. I mean, well, the I don't know if you call that truth or what. I mean, the thing about the whole writing style is more than this book. This book is kind of silly. Oh, so this book is now in public domain, so there should be a copy you can download somewhere. So anyway, so this element of style, it turns out, it's like class. The people, the guys, they are not expert at whatever. They just happens to write this book, and so anyway, Strong and Right. Actually, I have an article about that. Strong and Right. Let's see the element style. Let's see. Oh, that's another one. The element of the style Unix as literature. This is like 20 years ago. These Unix idiots, Unix philosophy idiots. There's a journalist, this guy, Thomas Scoville. He wrote a essay, published in some of these online website in 2001. Now this is history. Now this is back then when web was, the .com days. Web was thriving, and so he wrote the essay, which I copied here because the original is gone. He wrote an essay. He is like saying the element of a style, Unix literature. He is saying he he's basically singing the songs of Unix, saying how great is Unix and how great are Unix philosophy and how great are the Unix people, the people who love Unix. Fuck. So you can try to read this article back, this article was very famous. Like today you have hacker news, right? Once in a while, an article, some blog gets widely spread, hundreds of thousands or millions of reads. All the programmers are thinking, talking about it. So this is one of the such an article back in 2001. And you can try to read it. It's just garbage. It's like pure drivel. Like it's like it's there's no, it's not solid. There's no real content. But back then, a lot it's one of the most popular essay, most popular article. People want to read it. People want to believe it, just as you like to believe, something today. Anyway, so that's about this one. The elements of style, Unix literature, by this Scoville guy. I don't think he still writes, but I remember like 10 years ago, I tried to search his name and see what is he's doing, Like that's kind of part of the research into history, I guess that's how I learned many of the, like esoteric or like different perspective. You get to see different perspective of things. Like typically the way most people learn is that you go to school. So if you want to learn history, there are history textbooks. You just read history textbooks. That's one way. Not necessarily bad. That's mass education. That's institutionalized education. But alternatively is that you can, if you are a curious mind, for example, I was looking at this, article, and 10 years ago. So I thought, so what is he doing? He wrote this. So who is he back in 2001? So you look it up. You look it up. I did that a lot. For example, in Unix, you have man pages, right? In Unix, so you have the ls command, you have cat command, you have can you guys see these? You have all these commands, and you can do a man page, for example, man ls. Okay, so and usually at the bottom you'll say who wrote this. So let's see. See also standards history. An ls command appeared in version 1 AT&T Unix. Okay, to maintain backward compatibility, the relationship, blah blah blah, the BSD. So anyway, some of this main page will mention names, like the guy who wrote it in the beginnings or something like that. And you look them up. You do. I did. I did a lot. Not just Unix, but Emacs. Like, what I'm saying is that you have to. Okay, one way to learn things about, to get knowledge, to learn, to understand the world you live in, is that you observe, everyday things. Not, you know, like so. What I'm saying is that, for example, I'm not telling you to begin to man page all the Unix command and see who wrote it, and try to look up the guy, see where they are, or what is he. I'm not saying to do that. What I'm saying is that this is an example where, not just Unix man pages, also Emacs packages, everything, anything you touch, you can see the author. And when you have time, look up the author. Maybe you'll find is he a professor? Was he some famous programmer? Or what's his history, and how, and some of them are old famous programmers or computer scientists. So you do this, you can, often you'll get, then you'll get connections. Oh, this guy who wrote, Rob Pike is one of the famous, Unix people. He wrote, this that. And during that time, there's awk, awk, the Unix tool. You look around. That's one way to learn stuff. So anyway, so I digress and digressions. Writing elements of style in English. What is this? Let's look. What is passive voice? What is aggressive voice? Okay. Okay, that is part of the article. Let me gonna show you. The passive, let me talk about that. Passive voice and aggressive voice. Yeah, this article is about the elements of a style of that book. So let me read part. This is interesting. This is a blog in 2010. This is a critique of that famous book, The Strong and White Element of Style, which tells you the nature of the. Why is this page keep loading? Hold on a second. Google Ads. So you see the element of style, very famous book, and here is a critique by this professor. So Edinburgh University linguistics professor Geoffrey Pullen has criticized the elements of style, saying the book's toxic mix of purism, atavism, and personal eccentricity is not underpinned by a proper grounding in English grammar. It is often so misguided that the authors appear not to notice their own egregious flouting of its own rules. It's sad. Several generations of college students learned their grammar from the uninformed bossiness of Strong and White. and the result is a nation of educated people who know they feel vaguely anxious and insecure whenever they write however or then me or was or which, but can cannot tell you why. So anyway, this is a criticism on the book from Professor Geoffrey Pullen. So it appears to me he actually looked into the history of the book, like what is the background of these two guys, Strunk and White, um, Strunk and White, and he looked, so he looked critically on the book, and here is his criticism, some of his conclusions, and you can tell, you can tell that by the criticism it makes sense. So I mean, there are some information. It's not. This is not totally bullshit. Um, well, you can dig into it. But anyway, that's what he says about Strunk and White. And you can read it up. This is from Anyway, you can read it up. So that's about Strunk and White. I'm not saying it's a bad book. It's been a long time, like 20 years ago, 30 years ago, I read it. I don't, I although I read it twice, like back then. I have my own opinions about writing, of course, like writing style, how to write better. Yeah, we can talk about that another day, I guess. how to, how to write an essay. So anyway, I was talking, so we were talking about the writing style of Xah. So this is kind of a turn in check, some kind of turn in check summary of many writing issues, which um, it's not, well, it's actually, this is what I follows. For example, if you look at writing style, there are things like, for example, article N versus A, pronoun capital I versus lowercase I, Saxon genitive, James Carr versus James Carr. It's very complex. And also notice the term Saxon genitive. That's, when you study grammar, grammar is one of the most worthless, okay, the most worthless aspect in writing and in linguistics. It's like, yeah, it's like the most worthless. And anyway, so anyway, this article I summarize some of the things I stick to when writing. For example, should you one of the popular things about active voice versus passive voice. One of the most idiotic advice from these writing guilds. It becomes like a urban. It becomes like uh, a saying that nobody thinks about. You have to be you have to write in active voice, and so yeah, so typically people, when you look at like right, you can do it right now. You can, like, if you search for writing style guide, you'll see many of these spammy websites. They are there to make ad money. You'll see many of them. They will tell you, like 10 rules how to write, things like that. And one of them is you should write in a active voice. And they give you examples of what's passive voice, what's active. That's completely wrong. Okay, that's totally incorrect. In With respect to the actual grammar from a linguistic expert such as this guy. It's just like, because I read it. I read from one of their um, uh, discussion about that. It's just active voice versus passive voice. So what I'm saying is that the way most people understand uh, active voice in grammar is just totally wrong. It's just incorrect, factually incorrect. It's not it's incorrect grammar. So anyway, so I wrote. Here's another essay I wrote about. It's kind of humor. Okay. Anyway, so let's active voice, passive voice. Yeah. So let me talk about that a little bit. I'm not okay. So actually, I prefer passive voice. Why? Because why? Um, so hold on a second. Hold on a second. It's got some comments. I have to comment. But let me talk about the active voice first. Okay. So active voice. So I like to write in a 100% pure passive voice, no active voice at all. Why? Because let's see. Why? Well, I have to kind of explain what's active voice and what's passive voice. But anyway, let me read the comments. So Vago. Okay, I have to cover my eyes because I'm going cross-eyed. Cross-eyed. So what happened to your eyes, Captain Hook? Oh yeah, so because sometimes I have cross-eye, a little bit cross-eye since I was even when I was young. So but sometimes it get bad. S- So when I get bad, like I can look at you from either one of my eye, you can tell. Right eye, left eye, right eye, left eye. So and sometimes I get double vision, so that's why I cover it. So I get beat up or something. No, you should read Robert Greene's book. That name sounds familiar, but I don't remember. Who is he? Robert Greene. Robert Greene. Robert Greene, born 1959, is an American author known for his book on strategy, power, and seduction. He has written 6 international bestsellers. So usually, when someone has that, that's no good. Yeah, meaning that the guy is probably no good. Whatever his content. He has written 6 international bestsellers: 48 Laws of Power, The Art of Seduction, the 33 Strategies of War, the 50th Law. Yeah, I don't think it's good. It's pop. It's like when you see this kind of, I don't know for sure, but just by now, my impression is that it's just you write for the pop. You write whatever class popular. So you get it's like cat pictures on Twitter. It's like that's what everyone. So everyone you write something not sophisticated to please the population, the masses. So everyone, like one of the book, men are from Mars, women are from Venus. That's most. That's like that. Most idiotic. So, so Robert Greene, okay, and writing comes from the heart. Exactly. Good point. Imitation is the work of apes with writing utensils. You should never copy a writing style. Uh, okay. And Xah Lee, a sophisticated sophist specializing in sultry, seductive seances of speech. Really? Does that describe me? Sophisticated sophist. Okay, sophist is someone who make who sophist is basically a snake oil peddler. You know, like it means on the surface he's making logic and reason and philosophy and teaching, but the actual content is actually twisted. It doesn't, it's not logical, it's not solid, it's not true. That's what sophist mean. So how can one define sophist? Like I said, I mentioned this few times in past videos. I used to The way I learned English is by reading, literally looking up dictionaries, more than 100 times a day, and I've been doing this for more than 10 years, like for 20 years, and I still do, like look up dictionary like now almost every day. But it used to be like more than 100 times a day for over 10 years. So to the degree that any word, I can, a dictionary, I can open exactly on that page without, that page will be the word, and I can also, for many words, I can define. Like I can give you a definition from the dictionary, almost word for word, especially the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So sophist, sophist, someone who practice, a dictionary will say sophist, someone who practices sophistry. Okay, that's one of the way they say it. Now, so what is sophistry? How do you define it? I mean, how would you uh, define it as in a dictionary? So sophist would be not, sophistry. Sophistry would be uh, well, I'm probably wrong because I haven't looked up dictionaries like before, but it first of all, does it mean? It means sophistry. How can you? So what we are trying to do, what I'm trying to do now, is try to explain sophistry in a dictionary style. So as so sophistry is oh, that's interesting. So sophistry is anyway. So I think I've been talking too long. Don't you guys agree? So okay, I got 7 people. Oh my God, I've been already talking for 80 minutes. One of my problem with my video is that hold on a second. So one of the problem with my video is because it's not pre-announced. So in the beginning, 30 minutes, nobody is here. But then after, after an hour, there's more people. Like only 6 or 7. My neighbor, my roommate is back. So so we were going to define sophistry. I give up. So sophistry is let's just look it up. So what is this? Close this. Close this. Close. Xah fly keys. So Xah Talk Show. Uh, let's try that. So sophistry, plausible but fallacious argumentation. Okay, plausible but fallacious argumentation. Two, a plausible but misleading or fallacious argument. Okay, that's sophistry. Explained in the manner of a dictionary. So a sophist, Xia Li, a sophisticated sophist specializing in sultry, seductive sentences, seances of speech. What are you talking about? A sophist is an philosophical magnet, attracting audiences with captivating debates on the intricacies of cultural and linguistic matters. So you're talking about me. The best way to learn English is to study the sophist philosophical debates with Socrates. Socrates. That's how you're supposed to pronounce it. So, Cat 44, the use of clever but false arguments, especially with the intention of deceiving. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So, anyway, I think that's it for today. Random to- topic. So we were talking. So what about Green Robert Greene? So what's good about him? 48 powers, 48 laws of power. Green's first book, The 48 Laws of Power, first published in 1998, is a practical guide for anyone who wants power, observes power, or wants to arm themselves against power. Okay, so the law are distillations of 3,000 years in the history of power, drawing on the lives of strategists and historical figures like Niccolo Machiavelli, Sun Tzu, and so I suppose that's a good book. It's a pop book. Yeah, I remember. I think, yeah, I think I remember hearing about this book. This is from 1998. I think. But anyway, uh, so element of style. What's passive voice? What's aggressive voice? I like passive voice. I'm not going to explain what they are, but I like in my writings. I want to be the most passive possible. Because when you do actually achieve that, you have written the greatest. You have written in the style of the greatest mathematician. Okay, the suitable for mathematics. You don't want to. You don't want active voice. You don't want active voice. Okay, you want right. Not always. Okay, in certain contexts, especially when you are writing about mathematics. Okay, or science research paper, for example, you want to be the most passive possible, meaning that in your writing you never address the audience. You don't write, oh, maybe you want your writing to be as cold, as austere as possible. Never address the audience. Never, contains any emotion words. Nothing like that. You describe, a technology or mathematics or some science theory, as cold, as austere, as as logical as possible. It's almost like you are like you can write the whole thing in symbolic logic. With that's a different thing. Okay, without any English words at all, symbolic logic. That's another thing. But anyway, but if you are writing English, you could write in such a way. And in fact, I think quite a few mathematicians do it that way. That's a style I like. Okay, and it is also a style in lots of my web. Not today though. In a lot of my writings, as cold as possible. You know, and so why? Because um, because that way, when you write math in the most passive style, what it actually means is that your writing becomes pure content. I mean, it's for example, pure content. It's like 100% pure content. Like recently I read, like someone died by accident. People don't know if it's a suicide or not. It turns out it's an accident. Why? Because he he drank something in the morning. He did a video blog. He drank something. He mixed something, protein powder or something, and he drank. And the next day he's dead. It turns out he put a tablespoon of coffee, of the coffee, condensed coffee power. Okay, pure coffee power, caffeine, powder. caffeine powder. 1 teaspoon kills you. Caffeine powder, because it's pure. So that's what purity means. When you have something pure, there's nothing else, like a chemistry element. So when you write mathematics, in when you let's say when you talk about give a presentation, you are teaching new theory you found or whatever. You are teaching math, describing a theory. When you can write in the 100% purity, that every word that describe the logical content of your thoughts exactly, that is pure. And when you have and when you have that such a writing, you will see that it's absolutely passive. It's absolutely passive. It's not the active voice. Okay. So these idiot people with their active voice, this popular. That's what it is. Um, so cat 44. Yeah. So vago megalitis. So what are you, vago megalitis? Says Xah, a cornucopia of conscious considerations to condense collegiate clutter into clarity. Okay, a existential an existential egalitarian existing in a esoteric earth while emulating educational honesty. What are you saying? So what is your problem? What is your beef? So you must know, you must have read something, maybe a lot about me. Say it, okay? Say whatever. Uh, so that's it for today. I've been talking for 90 minutes and random. So there is something I want. There are actually there are. So we talk about alliteration. Oh, is that what he is? That's what he's doing. Alliteration. Oh yeah, the undergraduate math degree courses. That's interesting. I wanted to talk about that. Math blog. Oh, that's a lot of things to talk about. Galois theory. Galois is one of the most well-known mathematician because he's because of his dramatic life stories. He died young, like he died when he was 19 in a duel. Like pistol. I guess pistol duel over a girl. Something like that. Okay, so that's Scalois. It's supposed to be pronounced Scalois. He's a French mathematician, and but he created one of the great. Basically, he invented group theory. So it's anyone who study math history will know one of the most well-known Galois um, mathematician, and this is how he looks like. So Vago megalitis says a larger than life luminous light of liturgical license. Okay, Galois and Abel is also a great mathematician. They are related. I mean, because their study happens to overlap a lot. And Abel, this Neil Henrik Abel, also died young. He died when he was 20 years old in poverty. But he also, you know, did great math stuff and math stuff, logic, free variable, and logic principles of explosion. Principle of explosion. Anyway, so that's math. Compline proving. Oh yeah, so I wanted to go to. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you guys for watching. Any questions or comments or last? What's your last word? You have 10 seconds to type it. Then I'll address it or maybe not. Until tomorrow. Do you have any last words? Dot dot dot. Peace out.